So when I got a mail from Unknown Worlds asking if I wanted a sneak peek at what they have planned for a new game in their franchise, and that turned out to be Subnautica 2, I got excited. And now I can share all that info with you. A new planet, new biomes, the tadpole, the wakemaker, multiplayer, a new base building system, a genetic system, new leviathans, and so much more. They just released the Subnautica 2 trailer, and I got some extra juicy info on the game from the developers. But first, let's check out that trailer. Oh man, this is going to be epic. Hey there, I'm Aki and I'm so excited. I can't wait to tell you about all the extra info I got from the devs. I know there's a lot of people that were worried about Subnautica 2 not living up to the original. But from what we just saw, I'd say it's looking really good. There's a lot of interesting stuff in the trailer that you might have missed, so let's take a look at that before we get to the juicy info. Right at the start, we can see what I imagine is going to be the safe shallows of Subnautica 2. Since the game takes place on an entirely different planet, we'll of course have none of the fauna and flora of the first game, but this is definitely giving me the exact same vibes. We have a peeper-like fish swimming past the camera, a bunch of new plants in the background, and of course a giant coral reef the player is investigating. As we know, that turns out to be a giant crab, so the people who thought this thing in the teaser images was a crab were absolutely correct. It can likely conceal itself as just another part of the terrain, or maybe this coral reef is actually going to be another resource you can harvest. It could be similar to a reef back, where it has important resources on its back, but to get to it you have to get past the crab itself. Now, in the trailer, it didn't really seem like it was going to attack the player, so maybe it's just a passive creature. In this screenshot the devs shared with me, we can also see a couple more of these crabs, but without corals or rocks on their backs. So I think we'll have multiple variants disguising themselves as different parts of the terrain. Maybe they can even change their disguise like a hermit crab. But next, this is a huge thing that a lot of people might not pay attention to. The diver gets dragged deeper underwater by a current. Currents were not a thing in Subnautica 1, at least not naturally, but they were a highly requested feature in early access. The devs showing off an underwater current dragging the player deeper underwater is more than just an artistic choice for storytelling purposes, in my opinion. I think we're getting actual currents that flow in the world of Subnautica 2 and can influence the player and vehicles. They could be used to gatekeep certain areas until you acquire a vehicle that allows you to pass through the current without getting dragged away. They could also constantly change and move to different places or become strong and weaker suddenly, which keeps biomes interesting and could make for great environmental hazards that could very suddenly pull you into a more dangerous biome that you do not want to be in. And then of course we have the second person. This is a clear nod to the multiplayer mode that will indeed be available for Subnautica 2. This is something the community has asked for ages, and there have been a ton of rumors around it for the next Subnautica game. The devs have let me know it will indeed be a separate mode and that you'll be able to play it in up to 4-person co-op. I think that's great and fits the game extremely well, since I think larger servers with dozens of players could have felt a little too cramped. Playing with up to 4 friends fills a niche that I think has been vacant for way too long, and since single play is still an option, you still get to experience all the horrors completely alone, if you're brave enough. Now, the vehicle she's driving here first reminded me of the sea truck, but after taking a closer look, I'm almost certain that this is the new vehicle that has been teased before, and that is also visible in the screenshot with the crabs. Now, this image is called Subnautica 2 Tadpole, and I think that will be the name of this new vehicle. It really fits the Subnautica naming conventions and the shape of the submarine too. I still think it'll be able to attach to some sort of larger structure or vehicle, but we won't know for sure just yet. Talking about transportation, in this screenshot we can see what I think will be the replacement for the Sea Glide. The file is titled Subnautica 2 Wakemaker, so I think that's what they're calling this at the moment. The wakemaker is essentially just a turbine attached to each of your hands that propels you forwards. I think this is a really cool idea and I can't wait to play around with these. Of course, this could also just be an alternative to a Sea Glide that maybe doesn't go quite as fast, but leaves your hands free to hold another tool or a scanner or whatever. But I do think this will replace the Sea Glide, as it seems like it would be a lot easier to just not have to constantly switch your tools in the hotbar and just be able to sprint underwater at any time. We can see they use batteries though, so keeping them charged is probably going to be a hassle. And then we have the big boy. I have absolutely no clue what in the world this is supposed to be, but it sure captures that same feeling I got when I saw a Reaper for the first time. Utterly alien and terrifying. We don't see any eyes here, so it could use echolocation to hunt, similar to the Silence Leviathan, a creature mod my team and I released as a sneak peek at Subnautica Call of the Void that you can download right now. More info in the top right. However, on the promotional art, it does look like it has eyes down here. So I don't think the purple stuff up here is even its face. I think that's similar to a crab squid. That is its head, and its actual face is down here. Now, granted, you can't see much there either, but I think that was the dev's intention. If you pay attention to the tentacles, you'll see they almost resemble hands or grabbers. They are able to open on their own and really look like they could grab your submarine or just straight up skewer it and shove it into its mouth as a tasty treat. This thing is going to be terrifying for sure. What do you think this thing will be called? Let me know in the comments down below and I'll pin my favorite name idea. On the promotional art, we can also see something resembling the twisty bridges where this thing apparently lives, but this definitely gives me a much more deep ocean vibe, so maybe this is a dark version of the twisty bridges. This biome could be way further down, so it would actually fit to this giant squid thing living here. Of course, this could also just be a callback to the original Subnautica promotional art that showed the twisty bridges, but surely they wouldn't tease us like that, right? But now, let's take a look at all the exclusive info the devs gave me. Starting with the generic info, Subnautica 2 will launch in 2025 in early access on Steam and all the other stores. So yes, we will get to follow its development again. I'm really excited. We'll explore a completely new planet and do basically the same things as in the first game. Exploring biomes, encountering creatures, building a base, and uncovering secrets. They even showed me this screenshot titled Subnautica 2 Graveyard. Now this biome looks really cool. We can see the same eyeless creatures we saw in the earlier screenshots, but also this thing in the background. I think this is actually the same creature, but since we can clearly see some sort of eyes on it, maybe it isn't eyeless after all. These glowing parts down here could actually be its eyes. What do you think? We can also see some sort of mesmer-like fish or creature here. At least the mesmer was the very first thing I thought about when I saw this, but that might also just be me. Oddly enough, in this other screenshot the devs shared with me, we can see another creature that reminded me of the mesmer. Is it just me, or are there a lot of mesmer creatures here? We can definitely see another one of its species over here though, where we get a better look at it from the side. Does it have a turbine on its back? That is a wacky fish. This screenshot is titled Subnautica 2 Shallows, by the way, so I think my assumption of this being the Subnautica 2 Safe Shallows was accurate. The game's key features are of course co-op, crafting submarines, tools and bases, exploring biomes, studying life forms, and surviving. You'll notice we didn't get to see any base building in the trailer. Now yes, we didn't get that in the original teaser trailer either, but we did see it in the launch trailer for Subnautica 1. And I think I know why it wasn't shown or even hinted at. They overhauled the building system. They don't tell us how, but they say it allows for greater adaptability and more flexibility. To me, that sounds like they're taking an approach like Ark or other survival games, where you build individual walls, ceilings and floors to complete your base, instead of entire compartments. That could be really good or a really annoying change. I guess we'll see. And now for the probably most exciting thing in this entire document. Scan creatures and collect samples to learn more about the world, evolving your genetics to survive this hostile environment. Yes, you heard that right. They're bringing back genetics. OG Subnautica players will remember the transfuser tool that allowed you to take a creature's DNA and inject it into another one to get different effects, like making a giant reaper by injecting reef-back DNA into it. I think they're taking that to the next level and are letting you inject yourself with DNA, or maybe letting you create serums from creature DNA that let you enhance your survivability. That sounds epic, and I can't wait to see how they did it. In this screenshot that they've shared with me, we can see the player scanning a shark-like creature and the scanner displaying some sort of information about it. Now, I immediately thought precursor tech when I saw this interface, so maybe they will still play a role. We've not seen anything else about the precursors in the trailer or screenshot so far, but I mean, come on, that is clearly precursor technology, right? I definitely think this has to do with the genetics thing we talked about, and if the architects are involved, things are gonna get crazy. They also mention environmental hazards further down. In Subnautica, the only kind of environmental hazards we've seen are these heat vents that occasionally spew out hot water. This sounds like they've added a lot more, and maybe even built an entire system around avoiding them or dealing with them. The currents I mentioned earlier could be a part of this system too, since they definitely classify as environmental hazards. Now, we know basically nothing about the story of the game, but the one thing the devs keep repeating in this document is that we will discover the secret at the heart of the planet. I have no clue what that means. You can let me know your guesses in the comments down below. If you'd like to stay up to date on Subnautica 2 news and see any potential new teasers right when they come out, subscribe. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you next time. Goodbye!